will be a quiz. There will not be a quiz.
Oh, no.
I'm not that prepared. Anyway, welcome everyone to Star Trek, our ongoing watch-along and review of Star Trek episodes in their entirety. This week we have been watching more Tribbles from the animated series' first season, a follow-up to The Trouble with Tribbles from the original series. Now, fun fact, this was written by David Gerald, or Gerald, is it Gerald or Gerald? I think it's Gerald. Who also wrote The Trouble with Tribbles, who also wrote Bem and a New Voyages episode as well from the fan series. Oh, timecode is still on the screen. I need to get rid of that. Donk. Anyway, fun fact as well, this was also going to be a TOS episode at one point. This was actually written with spec script was written up and everything. This was hopefully going to be in the third season. However, the third season producer Fred Freiberger, he actually hated the Tribble episode. He hated The Trouble with Tribbles so much that they decided, no, we're not going to do this. But this stars the return of Stanley Adams as Cyrano Jones. And I think a good rating for this episode is the fact that I'm was smiling the entire way through that episode. It was a lot of fun, guys. What did we think?
Yeah, I like that one. It was a good episode. It's got a little bit of everything going on in it. It's got the comedy aspects, you can sort of giggling about the Tribbles and the Glommer, but it's got the war tactics aspects between the two ships trying to sort of, with the space battle and everything. Yeah, it's quite good.
It flew by, which is a good thing. And plenty of comedy and humor. A couple things, I nitpick. But overall, yeah, I mean, inoffensive. Unless you're a Klingon, then very offensive.
Yes. So we had what were your first thoughts on the episode?
Again, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was action-packed. Like start to finish, there was something going on. It was,
Method says
one of the better Taz episodes I've seen.
Yeah, the Method says the Kirk smirk at the end should have been the episode scale.
It was a good one.
What is Kirk's reaction at the end of the TAS episode? Yeah,
The thing is that you could have that as a scale in almost any original series or animated series watch along.
Yeah. Okay, my question is for you. Okay, which other, kind of a little alternate version of this question. The question is, what other Trek cast could have pulled off this story episode? What I'd rather actually say is, which other Trek captain from the famous series, from the other series, how would they have dealt with this situation with the Tribbles? How would Janeway have dealt with this? How would Sisko have gone through this? What would have Picard done?
Picard would have tried to make peace with the Tribbles. Janeway would have killed them all and killed the Klingons. Sisko would have punched them.
Yeah,
definitely.
Sisko technically lived it.
That's true.
Yes, he did. He was there. Yeah.
Sisko would have cooked and eaten them. He would have made them into a jambalaya. Yeah.
Burnham would have travelled back in time to before the Tribbles were there.
Yeah.
And done something.
It turns out she was actually the original Tribble all along.
yeah. She started the Tribble race.
Yeah. She created them. Archer would have just let them infest them and airlocked the whole crew out and then just found a better crew.
Yeah.
Or got Malcolm Reed to make something.
I don't think any of the other captains would have done very well. I mean, obviously, we had trials and tribulations, but that was very much an anomaly. I think for Ben Sisko, that was not Ben Sisko in his normal manner, was it? So, and Picard and Tribbles just not have mixed well at all. Maybe Janeway could have just about pulled something off. But
I think the Voyager
only maybe Pike
would have been the best choice out of all of them to do it. Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, you've kind of got the analog for Spock with Tuvok there as well, so you kind of would have had the same story beats, like note for note. And as usual, Chakotay would have been absolutely useless with it. He'd probably try to consult his spirit Tribble or something along those lines.
I suppose there's almost there's almost echoes of Cyrano Jones. there's almost echoes of Cyrano Jones in Neelix.
Yes, you're quite
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Gosh, yes. This featured Stanley Adams returning as Cyrano Jones. He was very entertaining. He was very entertaining. I did like the line. I forget what it was now. It was Spock's explaining something, and then Cyrano just comes back and goes like, "What? Like what? Yeah." And what's he? I can't remember what he says. He says something along the lines of, "Yes, the Tribbles are reproducing at an alarming rate." It's like, yeah, and they're breeding too, or something.
They're
along
breeding
those
fast
lines.
too.
Yeah, they're breeding fast too. Yeah, that's it. I did like that little sort of traditional 1-2 punch of a joke there, but that was fun. I liked it. I really enjoyed this. It was, like you say, we said this about TS episodes before. It's short and sweet. It doesn't overstay its welcome, except for that shot at the very beginning with the Enterprise very slowly just going past while the music just wastes about 2 minutes of your time.
That's like they've made the episode and they've gone, right, we're a minute short.
Yeah,
we need to fill a bit of time here.
I think one part that kind of really go on, sorry, go.
I was going to say, I suppose it's where you want has to be, and where you sort of we're used to sort of the animation side of things with light and fast and breezy. It's not dealing in some of the more complicated aspects of what another episode of a type of Trek would do. I think that's what you want Taz to do.
Yeah, because that's really, I guess, my biggest gripe or problem. And then I have to like stop and realize it's Taz, and like I should just let it go. But Koloth is triggering an interstellar war in any other form of Trek.
Yeah.
A Klingon ship coming into Federation territory, firing and destroying a Federation scout ship, firing upon one of the flagships of the Federation, disabling and destroying a robot grain ship, trying to send aid to a colony. Like, you just started the war to end all wars with the Klingons and the Federation. And then, like, into the episode, that's when they finally sit down and say, "Hi, why are you shooting me, by the way?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, you've got this guy who stole this thing of ours, and we want the thing back." "Oh, yeah, sure, no problem."
Yeah.
Like, really? But if you would have had that conversation, you wouldn't have had an episode. So I put that aside, and I'm like, okay, because I rather would have had the episode anyway, because Cyrano Jones was just he and Harry Mudd from those eras are just they're just so perfect. And any excuse to have a rambunctious, it was lighthearted. That's all it was meant to be. It was just a fun episode and a callback to the previous Tribbles, beaming everything over, and yeah.
Yeah, we kind of had a little bit of everything with this. Like, we had action as well. Like the space battle was actually quite impressive for the time. Previous TOS space battles were like the Enterprise statically fires a shot. You might get an explosion with the other ship, but this was like we were getting a swooping shot of the Enterprise. We were getting the Klingon ship from various angles shooting its weird laser that was never really properly explained. They have some energy draining device, and then it's never ever mentioned again.
Yeah.
There's
also a little bit of jeopardy. I mean, it's not massive, but you've got the jeopardy of the fact that they're trying to get this grain to a colony that desperately needs the food.
Yes, the
and all the
Quintriticoli.
Tribbles have eaten it. Yeah.
To go with the quadtriticoli and the tritriticoli that we have seen before.
And now they're actually short a lot of grain because the Tribbles ate it.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
I think it's funny because at the start, well, it was going to go one way or the other, because right at the start, like, Kirk's like, should we fire them? No, let's just ram the drone ships full of essential grain into the Klingon ship, because I can't think of anything better to do right now. Like, use the drones to ram the ships. Like, damn it. Which is fun, because Kirk does something very similar in the A Quality of Mercy, which is the end of the Strange New Worlds Season 1. The alternate Kirk does something very similar with drone ships. So it's quite a nice callback they did there. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but that's what happens. So what? Sorry, I'm going through my notes here again. If you had to do a modern day, not remake, but a modern day recasting of Cyrano Jones, who would you get to play it? And you can't say Jack Black.
Jack Black is the obvious answer.
He is the obvious answer.
John Goodman.
John Goodman, yeah.
Yeah.
I think John Goodman about 20 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, he's probably a little old
Fat
now.
John Goodman,
Yeah.
not skinny John Goodman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Roseanne John Goodman, but like
Yeah.
first running of Roseanne John
Sans
Goodman.
Roseanne, yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. And I can't say Jack Black.
You can't say Jack Black. Oh, who's the famous comedian that did the Chip and Dale skit?
Chris Farley.
Chris Farley,
Everyone's
yeah.
walking.
Chris Farley.
I would
John
actually say
Cleese?
you got it for me with comedian. I would do Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias.
I don't know who that is.
Would
No, I don't know who that is.
go on YouTube and find yourself Fluffy, the comedian,
Jim Belushi.
big fat Mexican guy.
Okay.
He's the
All right.
greatest.
Yeah. Some say Jim Belushi. Jim Belushi's a good choice.
Isn't he dead?
I mean, dead people
A
can
little,
count.
a little bit.
You can
It's
count.
probably
I'd say other actors. Let's say other actors that were cast in the role.
He's only mostly dead.
Oh.
Okay, let's go through for best moments, worst moments. I'm going to steal the room right now. I'm going to say my best moment is definitely the recurring Kirk keeps pushing a Tribble off his chair and they keep getting fatter every time. That made me laugh so much. Just sit there, just kind of go, a small Tribble, a large Tribble, and then you just get the huge Captain Tribble sitting in his chair. And they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, that was so funny. Worst moment, I don't know, there's a little bit playing for time in this episode. It seems to be like everything went so fast, but then there was suddenly a moment of just like, and it just stops and pauses, like right at the start, and then it keeps going. Like they could have filled, like they had a lot in this episode, but they seem to sort of have a bit of a gap at the start and the end where there's just like long turgid moments that seem to go on for a bit too long. But other than that, I can't kind of fault this episode much more for a TAS episode, especially. I think this is a pretty solid one. How about you, Walt? Best and worst moments.
I think not sure if it's best, but again, I did chuckle at the glommer running along at the end there, with his legs cartwheeling along. That was
It needed the sound effect from like
Yeah.
Looney Tunes.
We just needed sort of like some soft patting, something like that, just to really enhance it.
Yeah. Like little suckers.
Worst moment. I think just as you said when we were talking, like Kirk, just ramming speed with these drone ships.
Yeah, Kirk's very fast and
Messing
loose.
with it, like the like imagine doing that. Like, who cares about the cost to the loss of the ship, the grain, how it's going to affect the planet where these people are starving, that these grain ships are going to. Yeah, that was probably my worst bit. But, yeah, I know, but other than that, it's quite hard to nitpicking. Really, it's quite hard to find a.
Cranky.
I think my favourite moment is the pocket glommer. It's just here he is. It's just funny the way he just whips it
Why
straight
in the
out.
pocket? Like this is like, but that's Cyrano Jones to a nutshell, because it's just very much like, sod these safety standards. Like, this pocket glommer should be kept in a sophisticated like biometric field or something. But now it's just like, I've got it in my
Put it in the
pocket.
pocket. Yeah. Worst moment. I think it might just be the few shots, like you said earlier, with the playing for time, where there was the shots of the grain in the corridors, where you're just looking at cans of grain in a corridor, and then another shot a couple of seconds later where all the cans of grain have just fallen over, and you're just looking at fallen over cans of grain in a
You
corridor.
have failed successfully.
Yeah. There's a few bits like that, but yeah, I can't think of a specific.
It's a hard one to do. Frank.
It's the pacing. I'll almost forgive the pacing because it's a short animated episode.
Oh, yeah.
They basically took and as you said earlier, it was a script and an idea for a real episode and had to shrink it down and condense it, and obviously pick and choose, and some things get left on the floor and some things don't translate well. That said, I will say for me the best was absolutely the space battle animation. I thought that was just killer. Because we got a couple of different angles of it and a couple of different shots. They reused some, but then some of them they redid. So it was quite nice. Worst, I will say, just I said I was going to let go of it, but the fact that an interstellar war is like happening basically and starting, and they're all very nonchalant about it.
The Klingons don't often cross over
Nobody's-
to the Federation side of space and destroy half of our small armada.
Yeah, and they've got a history together, and there should have been, maybe they could have done more with that. But then again, it's an animated series, and it's a hacked up episode from a previous script, so what have you.
Just like the
It
TNG.
was exactly, but it was overall. I think it was very good, and it into our lives that we have today. The fun stuff like this, people who play Star Trek Timelines, the #1 Star Trek game for mobile experience players.
Isn't that
That's a lie.
Even that's a lie. Yeah.
There's probably like a Star Trek Lego game that's way better.
Oh wow, that would be
Make
awesome.
one.
No, it'd be Mego Star Trek, the complete
But
Star Trek.
it's fun to see cards from the game, like where they happen, because obviously you've got your Gauntlet exclusive Klingons here, Captain Tribble. Even though it's not officially Captain Tribble,
Wow,
it's
yeah.
still Tribble in the big chair. And then originally, back when the game first started and they dabbled, they thought about doing animated people, but they didn't know how to do the artwork. They gave a test and they uploaded into the assets, never into the game though, a test shot of what a crew would look like if they were from the animated series, and it was Cyrano Jones with the Glommer.
I'll bring it on screen now. 1 second.
Is that the one you posted?
Yes,
Bring it on
and
screen
so
now, there
that
we go.
was
For Star Trek
been
Timelines fans, this was almost in the
Yes.
game, but never was. But that's not bad. Missing his left, the bit of his left arm or a bit of his right arm there, but. Podcast fans,
Fun
you
fact. Made him.
He basically just looked like Cyrano Jones, to be honest. With
yeah,
a weird
it
combination
was a
of tribbles behind
screenshot
it.
with tribbles behind it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they didn't try too hard on that.
All right, gentlemen, how we're going to have our rating now, and I've already decided. I've already decided what we're going to go. How many quintriticoli tribble eating pocket glommers out of 10 would you give this episode? Had to add a little bit extra in there. I need to have the stars flair. He's very good to go along with grilled cheese sandwich, masseuse hands, and Klingon fuck eyes and Shenzhou engineering. He's got talent for it. Okay, Frank, go first this week.
I cannot even begin to pronounce whatever bullshit you just said. So I'm going to say, how many quinceanera eating, pocket glommering tribbles will I give this? I'm going to absolutely blow everybody out of the water, and I'm going to say 8.3.
8.3.
This was fun.
This was very fun. Cranky, what you got for me?
I'm up there with Frank, to be honest. I was thinking 8.5. I think I'm going to go with an 8.5.
8.5. Solid entry.
8.5 quintriticale eating tribble glommer eating pocket glommers.
Quintriticale tribble eating pocket glommers. Walt, what you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking, but it's still a Taz episode. I shouldn't be giving it a big score. It's not a great track. But then I'm thinking, what were we talking about before? It's a Taz episode. What does it do? You want it to do as a Taz episode? So actually, I'm going to go a 9, and I'm going to go a 9 Friend Kirks, whatever we're talking, out of 10.
Friend Kirk.
Friend Kirk. Yeah, that's right. Yes, Friend Kirk.
End up a 9 anyway.
It's a fun episode.
It was really good. Yeah,
Exactly. It's totally fun. It's like there's not many Taz episodes, and like they can't. I've watched a few, and I think this is the best one I've watched. So yeah, 9.
I mean, if you think about it as well, at the time when this came out, when this was new, there was no Star Trek. This is what Lower Decks is to us. This was to people who liked the original series. There was no Star Trek. They had nothing, and they suddenly went, "Oh my God, there's some new Star Trek," and it's a little bit fun.
Yeah, and I think like they aimed at a child. Like we were talking about this during our review of Beyond the Farther Star. This is kind of aimed for children, but in a way, it's really not because they showed it on Saturday morning cartoons and the like. But actually, there's some quite deep subjects, and especially at Yesteryear and Beyond the Farther Star, like they don't hold back on the technobabble. They don't hold back on.
It's written by the
themes.
original series writers and producers, and it's got the same cast in it and the same everything. It's all right. It's aimed at kids, but it's the same people making it.
It's still fun, and like you say, I was smiling the entire way through this episode. There wasn't, a moment where I was not entertained. There wasn't anything moment that I'll give it a solid. My fear of decimal points remains. I'll give it a solid 8. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know why I knock it points down. It's definitely not 10 out of 10. It wasn't amazing, but it's 8. It's not more than the sum of its parts for reasons I can't explain. I think probably just because it is Taz. Knocks 2 points off it, really. For no other reason than just my own internal bias. But that takes it to an 8.5 strong entry in the Star Trek Pantheon. I'm just going to see where that all ranks. That already ranks above the Ghosts of Illyria or the Broken Circle. It rates better for us than Broken Bow from the intro of Star Trek Enterprise. It's.
Do you know? I'd probably I'm happy with that.
Yeah, and we rated recently Where No Man Has Gone Before. It's about the same as that, slightly below Ad Astra per Aspera. I think that fits. And Star Trek is now a 5.9. We're up to a 5.9
we've
on
raised
Star
the
Trek.
bar a little bit.
Raised it just a notch. We'll get that average up. Although actually this episode's airing in a few more weeks' time, so that notch may have already moved, but who knows. Thank you very much, Frank, Cranky, and Walt for joining us. We will see you again in another couple of weeks where we will be, in theory, if all things go well and we haven't deviated from our plan too much, we'll be reviewing Lonely Among Us from The Next Generation. Thank you for joining us. If you want to find out more, please head on over to our Discord or our website, which I desperately need to update. Check our Twitter, all that stuff. Like, subscribe. Blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. You go do the things. We'll see you later on. Live long and prosper, and ta-ra.